DevOps course. Uh, over the last demo, we have introduced about this course. I'm going to share the link here in this group about this course, that there are two links that we have already shared. But in the case, if anybody has missed to note, here is the link. Okay. I'm going to quickly take 10 minutes to make you understand the flow, how we're going to take up this course and what all things we're going to share in this course. Okay, so I've shared both the links, as you can see. So the how we have planned this course. So let me talk about that first. So today we are starting the session. We're calling it day one, right? So like that, we're going to have continuous sessions now. So today is day one. Saturday, next Saturday would be day two. Sunday would be day three, and so on. It will keep on going. And we are recording right now, as you're seeing, right? We are recording. Everybody after this recording will be sharing. I'm going to show you a playlist, how the recording would be shared with all of you. So this is one of the recordings, the YouTube playlist, right? As you can see here, the day wise, we are sharing day one, day two, day three, and specific topics, right? Whatever topics we have covered. So we'll be sharing the recordings with you, right? And you know about the course already. So let me just give you a brief how we're going to talk about it. So the first 3 weekends, right? So consider day one, day two, day three, and 4 more days, right? So up to day 7, consider, right? Day two, day three, right? And then this will be the next weekend. So consider the 3 weekends. Today is just the day one. So approximately 3 weekends we spend time in cloud part, AWS. So let me put day 6 and day 7 as well. And what are we going to discuss in this 3 weekends? We're going to discuss cloud part. What is AWS from scratch? What is cloud? First of all, we'll take up cloud. So first topic that we take up cloud. And along when we're talking about cloud, you would be given the recorded session of Linux, right? My recorded session, and you can go over it. And you're supposed to practice this, because today or on day two, we're going to understand about one of the services in cloud, EC2. EC2 is one of the services using which we get the server, right? We get the server. And then we can practice the Linux commands in the EC2 instance, right? So that will be shared along with when you enroll for the course. So the Linux sessions will be shared. That's the plan, Linux sessions, the shell scripting part, which is the most important, because the 95% of the enterprise applications are deployed in Linux systems. So we need to get comfortable with that. Okay, so that would be shared the day you enroll. And then we'll talk about the cloud. We'll talk about 3 weekends on the cloud part. And we'll talk a lot more things. We'll talk about different services, EC2, CloudWatch, storage services like EBS, EFS, S3. We'll talk about how the networking works using VPC. What is public cloud, private cloud? What is IAM? What is billing services? How to maintain the security. Then we'll talk about load balancer, auto scaling group, right? So a lot of things in perspective to performance or the reliability of the applications. Will all the topics, the way we're going to discuss those services is in line with the performance. What to take care, what if you're observing a certain things in the infrastructure, what needs to be considered, what needs to be done from the infrastructure perspective, AWS perspective, is what we're going to discuss this, right? So this will go approximately 3 weekends. Post that, after completing this, I would like you to fully spend time hands-on here in the cloud part. And then you'll be given the recorded session of the Java performance engineering. See, if somebody asks, no, I want early, I'm comfortable with cloud, we can do that, but that's how we have planned so that we have the best learning experience. So we share this recorded session. Again, this is a recorded session just to save time and optimize because we are covering a lot of topics. So we are covering, again, they're going to be my recorded sessions. And here we talk about JV architecture, different memory spaces that we have, heap memory, right? We have a lot of 5 memory spaces we have in JVM. How to analyze GC? What is garbage collections? Shallow heap, retained heap? How do you analyze heap dump using math? How do we analyze thread dump? How do we analyze GC log? Right? All sorts of things. With applications, with looking at the issues, right? Everything is hands-on here. You'll be given recorded session. Along with that, we're going to start our journey on the microservices. We'll start our session on the microservices. We'll talk about what is microservice, how different it is from monolithic applications, and then where do we deploy the microservices. We'll talk about something called container engine. And we'll talk about Docker as the container engine. Docker. Then we'll talk about container orchestration engine. You guys might be wondering what is container orchestration engine. So container on one of the examples, one of the popular container orchestration engine is Kubernetes. We'll talk about Kubernetes. So this is going to take approximately 4 weekends. 4 weekends. So let's say keep it 3 weekends here. 3 to 4 weekends. So maybe 6 or 7 sessions. Okay. Let's say 3 or 4 weekends. Depending on how you're able to understand if you have any queries. So there will be always some buffer. Okay, 1 session and 2. We are never in hurry in this course. That we need to, I'm just giving you a tentative flow, how the course would go. Then we'll talk about DevOps. We'll talk about what is DevOps, right? How performance engineering fits in DevOps. What are the roles and responsibility of a performance engineer in DevOps lifecycle? How do you do continuous performance testing in DevOps using Jenkins tool and Jmeter tool? How do we simulate that? We'll talk about continuous testing here. Right? We'll talk about that DevOps part. And then we'll talk about monitoring. And here we talk about 2 monitoring tools. We talk about Prometheus and Grafana and Elk. Again, going to be hands-on. We're going to understand how do we create dashboards, how do we for different metrics, how do we collect informations, and both the tools. So the cloud, the people who are going to cloud performance engineering would be able to cover this much. Again, if you're interested to join, to continue, we'll talk about the SRE perspective as well. SRE. Right? What is site reliability engineering? What is SLOs, SLIs? What is reliability? Again, you can go over those things in detail, right? I'm just giving you a high level part. How do we do incident management? How the deployment works? What is rolling update deployment? What are the roles and responsibilities of an SRE engineer? How do we manage an incident? How do we do tool automation, right? Using Terraform and Ansible. So we'll talk about tools, Terraform and Ansible. Along with understanding of different concepts. What is disaster recovery? How do you make sure disaster recovery doesn't create a pain point? What is high availability? How do you make sure that we have the highest reliability we can maintain? What is the process of doing that? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about tools, Terraform and Ansible. Then we have a session on the database as well, cloud database. right? And the remaining topics, whatever anything left. So that's how the flow would go about this course. And you can see the details here, all the details. So what are going to cover in the AWS, what is going to cover in the Linux part, what is SRE we're going to cover in SRE part, the software architecture part, the Docker part, the Kubernetes part, the DevOps part. How do you make sure that we have the highest resilience and reliability in AWS, the monitoring part, the eliminating toil part, and along with that, those people who are enrolling for the SRE course will be given the Java and Python recorded session as well. These are not my recorded sessions. Some reputed instructor at Isha, the recording would be of that. The full-fledged core Java and Python scripting recorded sessions. Okay, that's the flow. At the end, you would be able to get that. Those who have enrolled for the SRE course, Java and Python. Okay, that's the flow. Okay, I see raise of hand. Let me unmute. Yeah, go ahead. Those person who has raised the hand, please go ahead. You can unmute and ask your question. I don't see your name, so it just shows meeting guest. You have raised your hand. Any questions you have? You can feel free to unmute yourself and ask question.
Roshan, hi, Santosh here. I just have a question. So I attended yesterday's session and we were discussing about the course syllabus for CloudPE engineering.
Right.
Right now, you are also describing about the SRE. So
Same.
just wanted to understand. Yeah.
So there are some additional topics. Okay, there are some additional topics that we have in the SRE and the CloudPE. A lot of common things are there. Okay, so that's why. So if you look at, we are covering from this part to this part, the cloud performance engineering.
Until ELK, I think you had also mentioned about covering in the CloudPE. Right. So a quick question would be, is CloudPE course a subset of SRE or how is it?
Correct, subset. Yes. There are these topics would not be covered as part of CloudPE. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
A database you can consider. Okay, let me put this. Yeah, this much would be the CloudPE, and everything what you see is SRE. That would be the.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure. Because see, as an SRE engineer, you would understand eventually you need to be good at troubleshooting. And all we are going to learn here is the troubleshooting part, and then additional automation part as well. Okay, and that's what makes SRE engineers different, right? So we'll talk about that. Okay. Any other questions? You can lower your hand. So that's all I wanted to cover about the flow. Any questions on this part? Anybody?
So are you going to cover all the ECS, EKS, the what's the difference and all the things, right?
Come again.
You're going to cover what's the difference between the ECS and the EKS for the AWS.
Right. So that comes under the Kubernetes section. Yes. If you want to go in detail about each of the things, that would be here. So we'll be learning the Kubernetes using EKS, which is Elastic Kubernetes Service, right? And once you learn the basics of Kubernetes, then only we can talk about. Once you understand what is Kubernetes, right? What value it brings to the table, what are the merits, the features, and then we'll talk about this. So this is part of this.
Okay.
So I'm not going in detail, right? See, if you see that there are a lot of topics in Kubernetes we have mentioned, right? So I'm not talking about each and everything here, right? So a lot of things are there.
But mainly you're going to show the difference, what happens right now. Why? Because everyone is
going to show that. See, my point is this, that I have just mentioned the high level topic Kubernetes. If you want to understand what are we covering in detail, please refer the links is what I'm trying to say. Definitely, we're going to cover that. Yeah, so go ahead. So you have raised your hand.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Yes, yes, you're audible.
Though the course is structured around AWS, I'm wondering during the training sessions, will there be any references given? Oh, this is similar to in Azure, the world looks like this. In GCP, it looks like.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's how we take up cloud learning. And that's how I have been able to learn all the three cloud, major four cloud. I have been working in total four cloud, Azure, AWS, Azure, GCP, and OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And that's why even I have gone about it. So if you know one, it's very easy to learn others. And we're going to talk about the references, how it looks there. May not be able to show you the screen all the time and take all the things in the same way, but we're going to talk about that. What is, let's say if you want to get a server, so we have a service in AWS called EC2. Let's say if you need to get the same thing in Google Cloud, what is that service name? Or if you want to get the same thing in Azure, what is the service name? Similarly for storage, if we have S3, what do we have there? The use case remains the same, only the UI part, right? The way it looks, the way you do things, the look and feel would change, but the use case remains the same across all the cloud service provider. So we're going to talk about that references. Yes.
Thank you.
Sure. You can lower your hand once done, so that yeah, I do see two people raising the hand. So you still have questions? If not, please lower your hand.
I've dropped the hand down, but still in system it shows as raised. I don't know how to.
Okay, okay. Let it come. Okay, no problem. Okay. Rajesh, please go ahead.
Hi. When all the organizations actually are doing the cost analysis when compared to the bare metal in the cloud, and the bare metal nowadays, okay, the bare metal is they are feeling it's cheaper because of the cloud rentals are going high and high. So what is the future actually?
See, the future is going to be the cloud as of now. Okay. So when we say bare metal, so are we
Bare
going
metal,
to use
all the organizations when they are doing the finance calculations, almost 76% per annum it is difference. Actually, they are saving when they are in bare metal. So now they are feeling that a cloud is a burden to them. That's
So
how the
what is,
organizations are.
do you understand bare metal, Rajesh? What it is exactly?
Physical server in on their premises only, not okay, but renting it out from
So
GCP or
basically
Azure
you are
or
saying
AWS.
on-premise. Okay, okay. I have got your question. So basically you are saying on-premise cheaper than cloud, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It is not
So
done. It is not my analysis actually. It is a corporate analysis.
right, I
Everyone is
understand
doing.
what you say. See when you talk about the data center, right? Setting up a data center, that was the topic of today, by the way, the cloud part. Okay, and you have already started this discussion, because to answer this, you need to understand what is a data center. So to set up a data center, first of all, it's so costly. You need to understand that what it takes to set up a data center. You need to procure a land, purchase the land, basically multiple acres of land. Okay. Then you need to construct the building, multiple multi-story building. I'm talking about the facility first of all. Forget about the server later. We have to buy the server also. I'm just talking about the other expenses. So procure the land, multiple acres of land in the outskirts of the city, construct the facility, multi-story building, then purchase the servers, right? All the servers, and then the servers will generate heat, lot of heat. You need to set up cooling mechanism. The data center cannot run out of power. So you need to do the multiple power switches. You need to do the redundant activity there. Networking, same thing for networking. You need to employ personnel for the security of the data center. And then you need to have people working in the data center so that every server is functional. So there's a lot of cost involves in the data center, first of all. So it's just not about the bare metal. Okay. So upon analysis, I don't know about the what you from where you have read, right? But if I need a server, just a server, I can easily go to cloud and get a server. Let's say if I'm starting up my business, I don't know my future growth or what would happen after 2 years of my business. I don't know. I cannot afford to have a data center, right? That's where the cloud comes in, because the data centers are already set up in the from other people, AWS guys, Azure guys, GCP people, they have the data centers. All I need to do is pay the rent and use the server storage and load balancing, all sorts of activities. So when we say the on-prem is cheaper, it's not that way. What they would have mentioned in some other context. You need to understand the full context first, Rajesh. I hope this makes sense, Rajesh.
Got your answer.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, Devanshu, any question? Go ahead.
Yes, Roshan. I just want to understand with this course, like, are we covering the metrics also? For example, that for the performance testing, whenever we are doing, and for the microservices, what all the important metrics need to be shared with the stakeholders, related to not just the like the CPU, memory, and disk. What else the things we need to share uh, whenever we are doing the performance testing along with the performance engineering? So, any
See,
templates
if
here?
you're looking for a list of metrics, basically my audience has been the mostly the performance testers, those who enroll to this course. Okay, mostly. We have, so everybody knows the metrics, or everybody is working on the microservices. So this particular question has never been asked. But let's say if you want to understand the metrics, and let's say if you're not from a performance background, we can discuss about that metrics part. That's not a problem. Whenever we talk about the monitoring part, so we take a 4 monitoring tools here. Okay, we talk about Prometheus and Grafana. We'll talk about Elk. We talk about CloudWatch, which is AWS monitoring tool. And we also talk about monitoring from the Linux shell scripting. So we talk about, from the monitoring perspective, we talk about these 4, and we call it observability. We don't use the word monitoring, but so just for the sake of mentioning, I've used the word observability, right? So, and we talk about this, what all things to be captured, okay? We can take up that, that's not a problem. So we can list all those things that needs to be captured on the database front, the read latency, the write latency, how it matters, the disk utilization, how do we capture things. Then if you're working in Java, what are different metrics that we have? We need to talk about the heap, how garbage collection is working, when garbage collection is happening, how the memory footprint looks like, how the threads is being handled, right? Do we have a certain spike in the usage of thread? So we need to understand the application first, and then we'll talk about the metrics. So we can cover that. Okay. To answer your question, Debansu.
Sure. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. I see meeting guest. You don't, is it Santosh, meeting guest? You still raise the hand. Could you lower your hand? Others have lower their hand. So if you're good, we can start with today's agenda. Are we good? Anybody, any questions? Could we lower the hand if you don't have any question? Or I can do that from my side. I have done it. So, perfect, guys. Thank you so much. That was the brief introduction about the course. Let's start with day 1 agenda. Okay. So day 1 agenda. We are going to talk about cloud here on the day 1. That's from today, it starts. So first of all, we need to understand what is cloud. When we see in the entire session, what you will think that we are focusing on the basics part. Okay, if your basics are correct, right, everything foundation is correct, everything can be built on top of that. All the learning different things is that's what we're going to focus here. What is cloud and how different it is from on-prem? So when I was explaining or answering Rajesh, I think you might have got a few, right? What is exactly? See, when somebody says what is cloud, what exactly it is? and what is on-prem. See, only few difference. Okay. See what eventually I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna refer to the PPTs that I'm going to share with all of you upon the final confirmation of the enrolled candidates. I'm going to share these PPTs. Let me open that. This Zoom thing, this Teams thing, right? When I share, it creates a problem. That's why I need to making it to down. Okay, let's just adjust. Okay, now I'm gonna share open one of the PPTs of cloud, and let's understand this. So what is the data center? The first thing that we need to understand is what is data center. Okay, by the way, we're going to cover all these things. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we need to understand is what is data center. This is what we mean by a data center. So consider in the outskirts of a city, multiple acres of land. Somebody has to procure, construct the facility. When I say facility, it's a very costly facility because to construct the building, obviously to host these servers, the servers will generate a lot of heat. So you need to set up the cooling mechanism. The servers cannot run out of power. So multiple power grids, right? Right, and networking part, these servers cannot run out of internet, so multiple network options, the internet options, right? And you can think about the security perspective. You need personnel here because it's a very costly facility, right? You need people employed here to take care because the servers may run out of, like the servers can be from the issue. You can just go to any YouTube and check out Facebook data center and or Google's data center. You'll understand there are so many people that are employed. They take care of the server health. If any server get out of sync, they need to replace it. They repair it. And the Facebook, they keep on adding different like additional servers on daily basis because a lot of users are keeps coming in and they have features coming in. So a lot of such things. So this is what we mean by a data center. Either you are on-prem or cloud. I'll talk about the difference, but you have to set up. This is the setup that we are talking about. So if you own it or if you work in a company who owns this, that becomes on-prem. If you own this, if you own the land, building, the server, every equipment, everything, that means it's on-prem. It's our own premise. But if somebody else has set up this for you, let's say AWS, Amazon Web Services, they have hundreds of data centers. I'll give the exact count. There is a link to that. They have hundreds of data centers across the globe. In India, they have approximately 6 data centers. 6 data centers, AWS. We have 3 data centers in Mumbai region and 3 data centers in Hyderabad region in India. Similarly, in US, in Europe, Singapore, different other countries, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa continent. So they have multiple such data centers. It's a very costly affair and it's a business model for them, right? So they have set up this data center and they have invested a lot of amount, right? Initial amount is huge, huge billions, multiple billions of dollars goes in the investment to set up a data center. And then what is cloud? So somebody else has done this for you. And then you are going to ask them, okay, boss, can I use few servers, storage, because I need to deploy some applications. I have so much of workload. Let's say Netflix. Netflix is one of the biggest consumer of AWS. Netflix is in AWS, by the way, right? Hotstar is in AWS. There are so many other companies, they are completely into AWS. Let's say they talk about Netflix because we use that. So Netflix use AWS a lot. They use a lot of servers because of their users requirements, load requirement. They use a lot of server storage because they need to store a lot of movies, content, right? And they need other features also, security features, load balancing features, and other options. There are so many other features. We'll talk about that slowly when we talk about different services in the cloud. So just think about a use case. Why do we need to use this cloud? We need the server to deploy my application. We need load balancer to load balance the traffic across all my underlying servers. Then I need storage. I need security. I'm deploying my application. I cannot just trust AWS, right? It is my code that I'm going to deploy in their server. How can I trust it? So we need to understand what services, security services they provide. And then on top of that, what option users have, customers have. We need to understand those things as well. So if somebody else has set up a data center for you, and if you use server storage as a rent basis, how do we stay in rent, right? We don't own the house where we stay. We pay monthly rent. The moment we stop paying the rent, we would not be allowed to stay in the premise. Same thing. You're using, let's say, hundreds of servers, storage, multiple TVs of storage, and other services, load balancer, Kubernetes service. Let's say you're using some services and you're supposed to pay the rent. You don't own anything. We use it, pay as you go. You will be paying the what as per your usage, pay as you go model. Very, very popular. We have this pay as you go, we call it. Pay as you go model. Pay as you go. Depending on the usage, you would be paying. The load may not be this uniform. May not be the uniform 24/7. If I talk about, let's say, application like Amazon.com or Flipkart, the load is not consistent. Let's say if I talk from the India perspective, because let's say Flipkart is mostly people in India use that. Obviously, in the night time, most of the people are sleeping. They're not using the application. Obviously, in the night time, there's less traffic. And obviously, in the day, it's comparatively more traffic. Maybe in the evening, when people are using it, there may be more traffic. Or think about IRCTC application. Maybe during the Tatkal, there's a lot of traffic. Or let's say think about Hotstar, when any important match, any important event, football match, cricket match is happening, a lot of people are streaming. More traffic. So we need more servers. So in the cloud, we can pay as we go. As per our usage, we can pay. But it's not happens in the on-prem. What happens in the on-prem? You have already purchased the servers. If you need 100 servers, I'm giving you one example. If you need 100 servers to accommodate your maximum traffic, let's say 1000 TPS traffic. If you need 100 servers to accommodate, let's say 1000 TPS of traffic load, this load may not be consistent throughout the day. This is the maximum. But in on-prem, you don't have option. You have to purchase all the 100 servers. But in the cloud, it doesn't work like that. I don't need to, first of all, I'm not purchasing anything. I don't own anything. Let's say if I'm using, there are 1000 TPS load is there for 1 hour. I may be paying for 100 servers for only 1 hour or 2 hours, whatever. After that, the load reduces, let's say to 500 TPS or 400 TPS. We need to set up auto scaling in such a way my server requirement decreases, obviously. And that's how we can do the optimization in the cloud as compared to on-prem. We use pay as we go. Now, did we understand auto scaling? What did we just mention about in last 5 minutes? In 2 minutes? All good? Auto scaling is nothing but some criteria to auto scale the servers based on the load requirements. Based on the load requirement, the server should get auto scaled, both scale out and scale in. The server should get scaled up also. Like we call it scale out and scaled in both. Again, I need some thumbs up from all of you. Did we all understand this example? Any questions on this? Good. So in the cloud, we don't own anything. We pay as we use. If we use more, we'll pay more. If we use less, we pay less. It's like a rent service. Like a rent. The moment we stop paying the rent, we are not allowed to stay, right? Enjoy the benefits of the society wherever we live in. Same thing. The moment you stop paying the bill, you're not allowed to use the servers. They will take it back. They will format it, they will clean it, and they will give it to somebody else who is asking for it. So in the cloud, the cost optimization plays one of the important roles. So we'll talk about this cost optimization, because if whatever skill that you're in IT, if you're working in the cloud, cost optimization becomes a very important role. And as a performance engineer or from an SRE perspective, the cost optimization becomes one of the important role, because we know the utilization of the servers. We know if there is some performance issues, the servers are getting unnecessarily utilized more. Or if by mistake, if you have provisioned more servers, we can look into the usage and we can confidently say that we don't need these many servers for this much load. Or we can set up the auto scaling in such a way that unnecessary servers do not come up. Right? Based on our testing, performance engineers can do this optimization. It's one of the important topic. Everybody in the organization, as you're a performance engineer or a SRE engineer, everybody is involved in this, and everybody has a role to play. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay, sometime. So did we understand what is cloud and on-prem? When I say understand, the literal meaning, are we good? Yep. So go ahead.
Now, in today's world, for the cloud, constantly optimizing the environment and bringing down the need for auto scalability, is that ownership comes on to performance engineers, or is there a separate cloud optimization team who does that?
Okay.
Who owns that?
I got a question. Think about it. If you think, you will get the answer. Who do you think who can answer this question of the auto scaling? When the auto scaling happens, the issues should not come. 500, 5x6, 4x6 error status code should not come. There should not be errors in the logs. Who is doing the load testing in the organization? Who is testing auto scaling?
But
The respective team?
No, performance engineers in the cloud. That is the responsibility. Performance testers or engineers have this responsibility in the cloud, because there is no other team who does the load part, because auto scaling has to be tested in the load condition, right? I cannot run a single user load and do the auto scaling part. Who would do that? Who is sending load? Who can simulate the load?
In few years back, around 5 years back, there used to be concept of load testers. Is that used to be done on the local environment, data center environment? Now the cloud is there. Now the same thing has been enhanced to do the level of load testing on a cloud environment. That's when I'm assuming, is that the...
Absolutely right. if we are talking about the cloud, your server is deployed in cloud. Where would you test your auto scaling? In the cloud environment itself. What should be the EC2 what should be the server configuration? 4 core, 16 GB RAM,
Got it.
or 8 core, 32 GB RAM, whatever the server configuration is, what should be the server configuration should be also a part of performance engineer. I have been into those kind of environment where I have been asked, or I have been instructing people to, because they are the ones. See, developers are going to develop the code. That is what they do. Functional tester would check the functional of the application, functional validation of the application. Security tester would do the security testing. Developers do not understand the infrastructure perspective. They develop the code, that their code is best optimized. They work towards optimization of the code, writing efficient code. They don't know much about the infrastructure perspective. Yeah, there are good developers who can know that based on the experience, but in general, it's not that case. As a performance engineer, we need to be very good at infrastructure. What would be the optimal server configuration? Could be 4 core 16 GB RAM, could be 8 core 32 GB RAM, or 8 core 16 GB RAM based on the application. And when we load test, then only we can understand this. When we simulate the load, the traffic like production, see, we are supposed to suggest in production why performance engineers are good at troubleshooting, because or they have been asked to join the production call. Why? Because they have done the testing, they have simulated the load of production in the lower environment, and they have done this part. When something real comes up in production, let's say some other issue comes, because it happens, nobody can simulate all the production scenarios. We can, as a performance engineer tester also, we can simulate 70 to 80% or 60 to 70% of the scenario of production, because their production is a different ball game. But what best could be done? We talk about workload modeling, we talk about understanding of production load, we test this much of load, we baseline the VMs configuration or the pod configuration. What should be the auto scaling criteria? Should we scale up the new pod at 60% or 70% CPU utilization? Who is going to tell that? Because as a performance engineer, you would be doing the performance testing, and you would be checking whether the auto scaling working properly or not. Or are you getting errors? 502s, 503s, 4x6 errors, or are you getting errors in the log during the auto scaling? Because it happens. If the criteria is not set correctly, let's say somebody wants to auto scaling at 90%, I think it will be too late to auto scale things. So all these criteria, all this baselining, the product application baselining should be done by the performance engineer. And that's where this becomes so important to know the cloud. Is it making sense for all of you? I'm not sure if you are into that shoes or not, or if you're doing those kind of roles and responsibility or not. But it's making sense for all of you.
It is Roshan, yeah.
Okay, good, perfect. So that was the first thing. Cloud and on-prem. Are we good with this? What is cloud and on-prem? The literal meaning. Any questions on this? Silence would mean that you are good. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So now that's the data center, right? Now, what is cloud? What is cloud computing? See, the computing that's happening in the cloud could be cloud computing, right? See, before to answer this question, I can define that few in one sentence, but that would not make sense if you don't understand it. I'll come to this statement later. First, understand what is cloud. Then you're going to enjoy the statement and explain it, or I give you one liner. See, there are three major cloud service providers in the market. Major. We have AWS, from Amazon Web Services from Amazon. And by the way, just little interesting history behind it. Jeff Bezos, I hope everybody knows, I'm the founder and CEO of Amazon.com. He was setting up data center for Amazon.com, the retail website. In the process of setting up the data center for Amazon.com, he realized that the same infrastructure would be leveraged by other people. So while setting up the infrastructure, the data center for Amazon.com, AWS idea came to his head. First time. So that's why he's one of the richest person, right? Amazon.com and AWS, both. So we have major players like AWS. We have then after 4 or 5 years, other people join in. Other 4 or 5 years, there was a gap. Azure from Microsoft, GCP from Google. We have Oracle, OCI, IBM. We have other, but these three are major players. What they have done, they have set up data centers across the globe. Set up data centers across the globe. How many data centers they have? Let's say if I talk about AWS infrastructure, look at the data centers what they have. They have 105 data centers. Availability zone. There are some nomenclatures that we need to understand. Region, availability zone. We need to understand that. I'll talk about that. So data centers, we can roughly say as AZs, okay, availability zones in AWS. So I'm talking from AWS perspective, okay, the naming part from talking from the AWS perspective. Learn one, you're gonna learn others as well, okay, but focus on one first in good learning. I'm not gonna confuse talking about every time about Azure and GCP. First learn couple of weekends, just AWS only, then I'll talk about Azure, GCP, how things works. So what do we have? A concept of region. We have a concept of region in AZs is what we need to understand. Concept of regions and AZs. I'm talking from the infrastructure perspective, from the data center perspective. There's a concept of region and AZ, availability zones. So they are launched in 33 launched regions. They are available. In India, there are two regions. One is Mumbai, one is Hyderabad. In one region, usually there are three AZs. You can consider AZ as data center. There are three data centers in one region. It's a logical thing. Region is a logical thing. It's not a physical thing. When you combine three AZs, which are physical thing, that becomes one region. So there are 33 launched regions, and there are more than 3 data centers also in one region, by the way. Okay, more than 2, maximum is 6, but usually there are 3. In one region, maximum there are 6 AZs, minimum 2 AZs, usually 3 AZs. And if you look at the infrastructure, look at this infrastructure here. All these, the green dots is where AWS is present, the region wise. Let's talk about India. In Mumbai, they have one region and they have 3 AZs in Mumbai, and they have launched in 2016 in Mumbai. Then we have Hyderabad. We have Hyderabad also region. We have 3 AZs in Hyderabad as well. And we have other regions also, right? 3 AZs in both. Then we have in Australia, we have 2 regions. In New Zealand, you can see it's coming up. The red ones are coming up, right? We have in Cape Town one. In South America, we have in St. Paulo, and we have in North America, we have in lot. We have Europe, right? A lot, many regions. So they're talking about, and they're growing. They're growing. The key, and every cloud is doing that. Not just AWS, Azure and GCP, everybody, and they have the same concept, region and AZs. And to leverage this, let's say I want to host an application in India. In India, I want to host an application, let's say lenscar.com or some India specific website. I want to host it. So obviously I would choose as the region as the India region, one of these. So usually we should select the nearest regions. See, if I'm launching some application for India, I'm not going to use US server. Unnecessary latency will be there. We don't want to create unnecessary latency because my user base is mostly gonna be from India. Why I would create unnecessary latency? Network packet traveling. Let's say if I deploy a server in US, let's say lenscard.com or whatever, any website, abc.com. One person from one of the village in India would try to do www.abc.com. The network packet has to travel all the way to hit this server, and then the server would respond. And again, the network packet has to travel back to India. Unnecessary latency of 50, 40 milliseconds, which unnecessary. So we should always deploy the application in the nearest region, wherever my user base, most of the user base is. Let's say I have decided to launch my host my website, and let's say I have recruited a few developers, few QAs guys, right? So I have done my coding part and all. Let's say everything is coded, tested, and I need to deploy now. So obviously on it I need to deploy in one of the servers. So how to get the server? Do I need to call AWS that, oh boss, I need to server of this configuration to host my website? No, we don't need to call. What the cloud people have done, they have given a console. Anybody can log into the console. Let's say if I just show you the console, even you can log in, you can create an account in AWS. You can create an account in AWS. Anybody can do that. And they can log in. And everything, like you are the chef, this is the kitchen and you are the chef. Whatever you need, get it. You need servers, get it. You need storage, get it. You need load balancer, get it. Everything is there for you to use it. And there are billings going on. There is a service called billing. Let's say you need server. So there is a service called EC2. You can get the server. If you want to use S3. So entire Netflix content that we watch is hosted in S3, which is the storage, simple storage service, S3. All the servers that we see is coming from this service called EC2. And we have got 200 plus services. There are many services, okay? Everything is there for you to use. Get it, log into your console, use whatever you want, pay the bill, you continue to use. Simple. So anybody could be an architect. They have given the console. If you want to get a server in US, that's the console. You want to get a server in Mumbai, that's the console. You want to get the server in Mumbai, go to EC2, select the Mumbai region. I can go to any region here, select the Mumbai region, get the server. I can go to instances, get the server. I can go to get the server, I can launch instances, I can get the server of any configuration, any operating system. I can select Ubuntu, Microsoft, Windows, Red Hat, whatever the configuration I want, 1 VCP, 1 GB RAM, or 8 core, 16 GB RAM, or 8 core, 32 GB RAM, whatever I need, I can get it. Up to 96 core, 48 core, 96 GB memory, I can get it. Whatever configuration, you need to pay the amount, bill. The moment you don't pay it, your services will not be operational. Every cloud has done that. Every cloud. AWS was the first one to do it. After 4-5 years, Azure and GCP came. And that's why they have the largest market capture. They are well ahead of Azure and GCP from the market cap, from the services, functionality, the offerings. And that's why they have so many customers. And that's when you go to attend the interview, out of 10 interviews, 7 interview would be on AWS because they are using AWS. That's how it is. And even if you don't know, let's say Azure or GCP, or let's say you only know AWS, and let's say you're supposed to work in Azure, even they would understand, okay, this guy has worked in AWS, can easily work in other cloud as well. So start your journey if you have not started from AWS. If you already know Azure, it's so easy to learn other services also, vice versa. The use case remains the same. What is the use case? I need to get the server, and I need to get the storage, and I need to do the security, I need to do the load balancing, I need to do the routing. They are the use cases. These use cases are common across any cloud service provider. So every cloud, they have given this management console. I can get the servers. If anybody in the remotest part of the country, if they have the internet, let's say somebody at rural some village, any village in India, if they have, the person has one laptop and internet connectivity, he can create complete infrastructure in US. Anybody can do that. All we need is this console access and internet laptop. That's all. Right. So coming to the definition part, right? I'll just how did we define cloud? Coming to the definition part. So one of the easiest way of defining cloud, which I like about defining, right? The use of software and hardware over the internet. The use of software, the cloud computing is computing based on the internet, yes. But it is described the use of software and hardware over the internet. If you have the internet connectivity, you can do wonders. You can create servers anywhere across the globe, storage, security, whatever you need. The use of software and hardware over the internet is what the cloud computing means. I can use any number of software, any number of hardware using internet. That's one of the definitions I like to understand. That's how you understand, like, okay, wow, this is what it is. Right. So I'll go over these things in detail in the next session. Okay, I just want to keep it brief and simple for today. Why do we use cloud computing? Obviously, cost reduction and scalability, DR, and all. Yeah, we'll talk about all these things in detail. Right. I just want to keep it simple today. Right. Okay. Any questions, guys? We just talked about what is cloud computing, what is cloud understanding, and I just showed you the management console. Though I have not given you a lot of demo here. Today is not the day. Okay, we'll talk about this in the next session. We'll talk about how do we create servers, how do we deploy things, how do we connect to the server, what does SSH mean, right? How do you connect to a Windows server, Linux server? We'll talk about security. What is IAM? What is billing? How could we see the billings? How the billing gets done? Do we see the details in the billing? Like, yes, like if you use postpaid connection, you have the detail of every call being made, right? Even though these guys have maintained what you have done on a particular day, what service, for how long you have used, they show you all the details in the billing. Now, how do you do this security services? We'll talk about all those things in the cloud. Is everybody with me? Everybody able to understand? Please give me a thumbs up, guys, quick. If you have any questions, please ask any question.
So when we are creating this AWS account, right? Do we need to pay something for the server and everything?
Okay. See, yes, you don't need to pay upfront. They just want to verify. So let's say if you go to aws.amazon.com. That's the website, aws.amazon.com. You can create an account, create an AWS account. You can use your Gmail address and all, provide your details. And just to verify you are a genuine user or not, they ask for the details of your card, credit card or debit card. Okay. And I can vouch for it that they don't misuse it because I have been using it for many years now. They will not auto detect any billing. They would make your services non-functional, but they would never auto detect. So you will be asked to verify that you are a genuine user, you have a genuine credit card or debit card. If it works on the debit card, also few debit card, and mostly it works on the credit card. So you need to verify. They would just for the verification, they would detect INR 2 rupees, INR 2, or if you have international card, they may detect $1.
Okay,
So
but when we are creating those servers and everything, do they, like, for example, for our hands-on experience, right? So do they charge something or no?
see, obviously, if you want to get a bigger server, they would be charged, but there is some free tier also. See, even they want you to learn.
Yeah.
Every cloud wants you to learn so that their popularity, their usage, their uh, the people using it would be more. So what they have done, they have given a free tier account as well. So you can learn without paying any amount. I will guide you on that. How do we do that? So you would not be able, you did not pay. If you follow my instructions, you need not pay any amount. It will be like nothing. So we'll use free tier only. But if you want to get a bigger server, 4 core, 8 core, then obviously you need to pay. But there are some free tier instance type where even if you use a get a server, if you don't use those server specific, you will not get charged. So there are some free tier available as well. So don't worry, I'll talk about that. How do we use that and what all things?
Yeah, sure. Oh, thanks.
Okay, so that's all I wanted to cover today. Okay, nice and simple and couple of things. Okay, we will go on a full-fledged from the next weekend. Okay, so yeah, those who are interested, please you can talk to Mr. Kumar and get enrolled, and we'll go on a full swing from the next weekend, guys. Okay, that will be all for today from my side.
Okay, so can you share the Java-based videos for like thread dumps and heap dumps, right? How do they analyze and everything? So just want to check those things.
Correct, we can say it. Yeah. You need to enroll for that. If you have already enrolled, you would get the notification.
Okay, sure. Okay, I'll check on.
And then I am assuming this would be in some form of Google Drive and we'll get access to that as well, right?
The PPTs, yes, the PPTs would be, I would be giving the access on the PPTs part because it is in my Google Drive. But the videos and all, you would be getting details from the Isha. They would be sharing a playlist with you, and they would be uploading on daily basis. You would be getting a link that this video has been uploaded. You can go and check this. So you will be given access to the once you enroll, you'll be given access to the YouTube playlist and you can watch the recordings there. It will be lifetime access.
What?
And PPT, all those PPTs, all those material documents, I'm going to provide that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions? If not, we are good.
Roshan, last question.
Mhm.
So, for example, I was planning to take the CloudPE, but now after looking at the additional learnings I can have in SRE, I'm planning to take the SRE thing up because
Yeah,
I would
sure.
consider that as the next journey to performance testing. However, now if I, for example, if I enroll to SRE, down the line, all the classes for CloudPE and SRE would be the same, but only after a certain extent, it would only
Correct.
the SRE would be having some
Right.
additional content, right? Okay.
Correct. Correct. That's right.
Thanks.
Question, how do we prepare the resume for SRE?
See, you need to See, from a SRE perspective, one of the important expectation is to work in production. Okay, that's where the performance engineers and SREs are different. Performance engineers are mostly working in non-production environment, right? The SREs are expected to work in a production environment. So coming to the preparation of the resume, yes, you can definitely mention these skills that you'll be gonna learn. The cloud part, the Docker, Kubernetes, auto scaling, and all the services. You can go for some certification in the cloud and DevOps. You can talk about the automation tools, the monitoring tools. You can definitely mention these details, but what will the real experience, okay, the production part, even if you don't have it, so you may want to visualize that how you'd be working into the production system. So I would try to give you an exposure how the things are, because I'm on a daily basis, I'm involved in production systems from multiple years now. So you need to talk about the skills that we're going to learn in this course, and then you need to talk about the exposure, the experience that you have from the production. The troubleshooting part is what you need to mention in the resume.
So like the
So,
deployment part and the issues what we observed, opening and ticket and the incident management, all those things
Right.
come from there. Okay.
Correct. Correct. Yes,
so
Vishnu.
as yeah, and one more thing. So we are talking about DevOps as well, right? So
Yes.
is SR going to work on setting up automating deployments?
No, see, SREs are mostly involved into once the application deployment has happened. That's the role of a DevOps engineer. Okay, they would do deployment. After that, for the reliability, site reliability engineering. So deployment part will be taken care of by the DevOps. But after deployment, whatever happens, the availability, the high availability, the reliability falls under SRE responsibility. Right. So if let's say it's SRE is all about knowing how the deployment happens, you will not be asked to deploy or write a CI/CD pipeline to deploy. No, DevOps engineer would do that. But if you don't understand what a canary deployment means, or a rolling update deployment means, or a particular deployment how it has happened, you would not be able to troubleshoot any issues this if you encounter in production. So the understanding is very important. It will not be your roles and responsibility to deploy the code, but how it happens, what type of issues could happen, what to check in the logs, what if you get to see particular things in the log, you learn from this experience where the issue could happen. Okay, so the after the deployment happens, all the keeping the system, all the customers happy, the performance in place, right, all those things falls on the SRE responsibility. Okay, I hope I answered your
Okay.
question, Vishnu.
Yeah, I understand. But uh, so I mean,
Ask. Yeah, go ahead, ask. Yeah.
so do we have enough openings for SRE roles?
Oh, go to LinkedIn, go to Naukri, check for yourself. What should I say? Go to LinkedIn.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing many.
Oh, you should why just type site reliability engineer.
No more
Go to
performance
LinkedIn.
engineers, only SRE engineers from now in market.
Come again. Come again.
No more performance engineers, only SRE engineers they need in market.
Right. Right. That
Ev-
because the current
even
changing trend, that's how it's gonna be. Right? Their performance is
even if
expected.
even if there is a openings for performance engineering, I'm talking about performance engineering, not testing. 30% questions they shoot from SRE.
That's why this course. Look at the openings. Vishnu, where are you? I just typed one word, skill name. That's it. Look at the openings.
I think
Okay.
even the companies are migrating the SRE, the performance engineer to SREs, like they're asking to work on SRE.
Yes,
Yes,
even
that's why
So
this course.
some aspect of SRE they are trying to implement in lower environment as well.
Right. That's what people do not understand as of now, because they have not been exposed to these things, and that's why they don't realize that this is one of the unique course. And what problem we are trying to solve here is that bridging that gap.
Okay.
Roshan, how?
Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm
I have
listening.
a question.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Apart from this course, if I wanted to purchase separately the Python, only the Python, because I'm not worried about Java, can I have the Java recording along with this course separately?
Yeah, you can have it. Yes. Whatever you need. See, I'm gonna, if you're asking not to share one recording, yeah, that's fine, right?
No, the recordings are actually good. I have already procured few of the
Okay.
recordings from these.
Which
That's the
recording?
reason I'm saying.
My recording?
Not yours. I had acquired just few of the basics of security. That was
Okay.
good.
Okay, good. Yeah, you can get the recordings as well. Yeah. If you don't want to enroll for the live sessions, yeah, you can get the recording. Yeah,
No.
there are options.
I'm planning to enroll this live session. Along with that, I'm wanted to procure. You had a SRE course, correct? In that SRE
Right.
course, I just wanted to procure the Python one because I don't want Java. That is, I'm fine with
Yeah,
Java.
that's fine, right? See, you are asking not to share one recording. You're not asking more, right?
No, I'm asking to share the Python recording.
Correct. I get it. The same thing I'm telling, right? As part of this course, we are sharing it. What is the problem?
Oh, you
I
are
don't
already
understand the
sharing.
problem.
I
Yeah.
I thought I need to procure it separately.
No, go to this link. Whatever you see, we are sharing it.
Okay. No. This one is SRE course, correct? I'm talking about this course, which is Cloud Performance Engineering. Along with that, this
Okay.
Python I want.
Okay, you
Not
can just,
not
yeah,
the entire SRE.
you need to talk to Kumar sir on this, all these things, right? I don't worry about these things. You know, please talk to Mr. Kumar. He would be able to give you better understanding. I don't get involved in these things. Okay, I just get involved
Yeah,
in
okay.
technical
Okay.
part. Yeah.
I'll speak to them.
Here's a show here. Roshan, no matter how much you study, there will be a situation in your real-time job where you're stuck.
Yeah.
Where you don't know how to proceed. For example, you
Right.
rely on Google or ChatGPT, right? So during the course, my only request is if for anywhere where, for example, I don't know how to connect with API, or I don't know how to, no matter how much I debug the engineering code, I'm not able to fix it. So if you can provide multiple references, if you're stuck, use this, go here, copy this code, try this code in a different environment, change the variable name and do this work. I'm just giving an example.
See, you need to pinpoint, ask me. Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot talk just like that, right? If you ask me, I can explain from my experience. What, given this state, given this scenario, what you would be doing, what you would have done, how differently you would have done. I can answer that question, but how would I know what you need?
Which is true, which is a right task as well. Yes, we will during the course. Hopefully, I'll be able to articulate better
Yeah.
situations.
Yes.
Where
Then definitely we will. I'll give you my experience. What I have been doing. Yeah.
yeah,
Definitely.
the learning from Google of how to get the code and take that piece of code and inserting it. It could be references. That skill is more valuable along with whatever we study. So that's what I'm trying to get.
Right. Right. I understand. See, you're basically trying to enhance your troubleshooting skill. That's what.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you're trying to do, and that's what we need to do as a SRE or a performance engineer. Okay, so that's what you're trying to do. I understand where are you going, but yes, that would come via practice. See, nobody can. That's what experience matters, right? So when you are involved into those situations, tight schedule, uh, production, you have production issue, and the customers are getting impacted. You need to resolve right now. That is the
Okay.
production thing.
So for
Right,
example,
it's
we have one scenario, Roshan. For example, we are seeing an intermittent issues in the cloud. We will be having multiple containers on the pods, right? For example, if there is one pod, some bad fault or anything, even it did not kill, it was even getting the traffic there. So we are seeing some intermittent issues and everything, right? Which requests are going to that pod. So how can we identify that very easily and how can we rectify that and everything?
See, for
If
that, I can explain that, but you first of all you need to have a thorough understanding of Kubernetes.
Mhm.
If I talk about services, if I talk about HPA, what all needs to be checked, replica set, how to check the kubectl logs. So you need to first have this basic understanding. Then only I can describe. I can put more details. I understand what you're asking, but to answer to troubleshoot that pod, so you need to have a good understanding of Kubernetes first of all. Yes or no?
Yes, yes. Mhm.
Right. So that is that's what we are trying to do here. We are taking Kubernetes from scratch, and that's what we are doing here. We are trying to understand these things first, and then if this happens, where to choke at. What is we have a lot of things, readiness probe, right? In the if I don't know if you know about these things in the pod, there's something called a readiness probe. When
Yes,
the
yes.
pod would be ready to accept the traffic, right? So we need to tune that as well. Sometimes it happens that the pod is not live, but the request started to come in and the pod is not live, right? And you eventually get 500 error, right?
Mhm.
Which is not good, right? So you need to twin. So depending on the issue, you need to take the problem. So first of all, you need to have that thorough understanding of a particular architecture, Kubernetes, if it's deployed, and then only you can talk about these kind of issues.
Okay. But you're going to show us, right? For example, where to go and check. For example, when we have.
Definitely. This course takes from you scratch, as I have told you multiple times, because I know my audience would not know what is Kubernetes at all. So that's what we take it from. We take it from zero level.
Okay.
You are using the word pod frequently, but I can tell you in this group, there would not be people who would be knowing pod. What is pod, first of all? Containerization, first of all. So we need to bring that understanding first, and then when we need to talk about ramping up things. So the real challenge is to make the basic foundation strong, and then only we can talk about other different issues. So that's this course aims at getting the foundation strong and then ramping up.
Yeah, sure, sure. But for example, what are the major issues when you're saying it, right? For example, if you're saying on the topic or anything, right? If you can come up with one example what you
Definitely.
faced in
So
the real time.
definitely that would happen. But after I complete a particular topic,
Yeah, yeah.
not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning. Yeah.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Beginning would not make any sense if you don't know particular thing.
Yes, yes. But during the topic, if you can say that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to mention that.
Okay, thanks. So we can relate that into our interviews or anything, and we can answer that. That's
Yes.
the main. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks.
Any other questions?
What would be the minimum experience? Like 2 to 3 is enough, right? And because it's a non-technical background, is it enough?
I'm not sure about your question. Could you help me elaborate what exactly you're
Like what?
asking?
Yeah, like experience, how much we can keep? Minimum 2 to 3 years is enough. Like in the market, like for to get the interviews, minimum experience.
So which skill
Is
we are
it
talking about?
sorry, we have to keep experience, right? So how
So
much
what
experience we
experience you
have to?
have, first of all? What experience, what skill you
I have
have, first of all?
I have non-technical background. I'm not into this one.
IT.
So that's
So you need to first, as I think, you need to take up some performance testing course as well, Jmeter tool. Or
okay.
either you need to choose that first, then this course would make more sense. Okay. Or if you're taking this course, you can try to be a cloud support engineer.
Okay.
You can project yourself as a cloud support engineer, and you can showcase 2 to 3 years experience, and you can justify easily in the interview based on this course only.
Okay, that is what I'm asking. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Roshan, is SRE need to even script and then run the tests as well using Jmeter tool, LoadRunner?
See, again, it depends on roles and responsibility. Like as others were saying, performance testers are being expected to do the SRE role, or SRE folks are being expected to do the performance engineering part. See, there would be always a team, and if you're a senior person, you would be given a team, right? And then you can ask your team member to script and run it. But you should have to lead a team. You should be knowing what to test with, what load to test with, uh, to understand the problem, right? So they is to answer a question. It's not necessarily that you need to run the test, but you need to understand the load scenarios. You need to understand what to find in those scenarios, what type of issues. Somebody can do that in your team, but what you need to take it from that, what you will be monitoring, what you should be looking at, what is the problem statement, that the engineering part you need to be good at. That's what troubleshooting. So that is when we say the performance testers, engineers, they are good at troubleshooting because they understand why are you testing a particular load, what type of errors, where to check those errors, exceptions, status code, what it, because your next narrowing down would depend on what you're observing on a particular issue. So it's not like you would be need to run a test, but you need to troubleshoot things. That is the major thing as an SRE engineer, Vishnu.
So what are we going to do with the programming language as an SRE?
See,
Like Python, Java?
see, it's automation. Automation is what we need to work on, some automation scripting, shell scripting, Python scripting. Not the coding is, the development is not expected. The scripting, the automation part is expected from an SRE engineer. Let's say you're
So can
doing
you
Mhm. Go ahead.
can you give some example?
See, let's say infrastructure automation. I gave this example. Let's say you are supposed to create hundreds of servers in production. Or let's say you need to auto scale the servers. Or let's say that's why we're talking about Terraform tool. Terraform, what it does the infrastructure automation. Ansible, it does the configuration management automation. So you automate stuff. It's a mundane activity. I'll tell you. Let's say you need to take a backup. As an SRE engineers, you're expected to take a regular backup of every 1 hour of the VM. What would you do? Would you take a backup every hour manually? What would be your approach, Vishnu?
Yeah, we automate such cases.
How would you do that? Either you use a shell script or a Python script.
Is Terraform uses shell script?
No, see, Terraform is the infrastructure automation. See, don't confuse, okay? Terraform is an infrastructure automation tool. I gave you that tool does some automation, okay? So if you talk about the automation, okay, if you talk about the automation perspective, then we are talking about these tools, Terraform, Ansible, from the automation perspective. Let me go to the course itself. So if when you talk about the eliminating toil in automation, you can do a different kind of automation. Let's say you need to do a CI/CD pipeline. You need to understand, then we can use Jenkins for that automation. If you want to automate the infrastructure, hundreds of servers, subnets, load balancer, auto scaling group, you need to set up the entire infrastructure. You can use Terraform for that. Now, for these kind of activities, as I told you, taking the backup at every time, or let's say analyzing the log files. Let's say you need to check hundreds of log files and find a certain keyword in those log files. So shell scripting becomes very important in those scenarios, right? And there are other activities. Let's say you want to scrape data. You want to do some automation using Python. You want to scrape data. So you can easily do through to some Python. Python has a lot of libraries, plugins. You can make use those plugins and you can do that. So any mundane, to keep things simple, I'll tell you, any mundane activities that you are repeating manually over and over again, that should be automated. That is expected from an SRE engineer.
Okay.
Any mundane activities, avoid manual activity. You can use shell scripting or Python scripting or one of the, any one you need to be good at. Okay. Did I answer your question, Vishnu?
Yes, Roshan.
Okay, perfect. Okay, guys. So that would be all from my side for today. We'll meet next weekend and continue from where we left off. We'll continue from the AWS part. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll meet next weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Roshan.
much.